Welcome to Conversations for the Good. Good morning, Dr. Jane.
Good morning, Anna. How are you?
I'm doing very well. It's great to see you.
It's good to be here.
How about we take a moment to summarize where we've been so that we have a clear context for today's information?
Good idea, Anna. We've been looking at the autopilot thinking, which is this usual kind of unaware, unchallenged activity that runs most of our lives. This is the arena of the backstory. It's really about our socialization. It's about our beliefs and the values that we were brought up in our families and our communities, that accumulative history, all the conditioning and all the judgments in the developmental process of our lives. And this activity runs the show for most of us much of the time. And we assume that our thoughts are facts. We assume that they're real. And we also assume that it's who we are. And so we've begun to experience, beginning last time, of focusing in the moment and cultivating an observer self part of our consciousness so that we can begin to see through this window of now, present moment awareness, that we're really not our thoughts, that we can observe this phenomena happening, but it isn't who we are. And quite frankly, they're not facts. They tend to be just this combination of our accumulative history and all of our development kind of projected out into the world as fact.
Yes, this is worth repeating because it has come up several times in our conversations. We assume that our thoughts are who we are.
Well, and out of the thoughts that run the show are part of that train, as I've mentioned before, that runs 24/7. And so it really is about what can I do to slow down the train? Because we never really stop the train. But if I can slow it down, then I can also increase the potential for awareness. And by focusing on one thing is probably the easiest, most straightforward way to slow the train down. And we started last week by focused attention, focusing merely on one thing at a time. It's also called one-pointed awareness. And we focused on our breath, and we also focused on a morsel that we were eating. Chocolate, it can be a Skittle or something, little that we can focus on, bring our attention to that, and also become aware of how this autopilot thinking is going on all the time in the background, and sometimes actually comes in and hijacks us and takes us away from whatever that point of attention happens to be.
So it sounds as though it's time now that we need to build on the focused attention.
That's right, because the focused attention is the fundamental, foundational skill that really allows for that building of new kinds of skills that really allow us to kind of take back our lives in many ways and make conscious choices, and allows us the ability to either buy into what the thought stream is telling us or to cultivate another perception or another way of seeing ourselves and the world. And it all begins with this particular piece, focused attention, and now the next layer of skills is going to be sensing into the body, using the body as a vessel of awareness.
Dr. Jane, can you explain what you mean by the vessel of awareness?
Yes, the body is a highly sensitive structure, and it picks up even the slightest emotional signals, the slightest thought signals. It detects the thoughts and the emotions before they're really fully conscious to us. So one of the things that we also need to understand is the body believes everything that is signaled. So anything that I'm thinking or feeling, the body takes as fact and it moves into what it determines is the appropriate response or reactivity. So if I'm thinking about something awful happening, it doesn't have to happen for my body to react to it. All I have to do is think it and feel the feelings. And all of a sudden I'm in it and my body is operating as though it were actually happening. And the other piece that's so important is the body is also connected in a feedback loop to the brain. So this is providing information, this signal, whether it's fact or fiction, providing a signal to the brain. And then the brain on its own, in coordination with this, really can intensify or enhance anything that I'm feeling at the time, fact or fiction. So this is constantly going on.
Wow. So the body is its own information system and is connected and coordinates with the other information of the thoughts and emotions and sends this information to the brain.
That's right. So think about it. It can intensify, worries, fears, angst. It's all looped together. In fact, research has even found that things that we kind of take for granted, simple gestures, our posture, can influence how we see ourselves and how we interpret the world. How I hold my head, whether or not my posture is erect, where the corners of my mouth are, if they're up, as in a smile, or down, or in a frown, really can that those positionings can influence how I'm perceiving myself in the world. So it's incredible how all of this is connected and really makes up this whole phenomena.
This is so interesting. That brings up halt for me. As I've said before, I'm not at my personal best if I'm hungry, angry, lonely, or tired.
And certainly this kind of environment created by hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or afraid directly impacts thoughts and feelings and also dictates our response or our reactivity. So again, it's like the mind is running the show. And for many of us, this is also complicated because most of us live from the neck up. Our culture really worships, the intellect, which is the neck up cognitive, conceptual kinds of phenomena, thought processes, information, information that is both cognitive and conceptual, and our direct interpretations of the world come from that. And yet we're so much more than that. And we totally miss out on the fact that the body has its own intelligence. In fact, for many of us, because we're so in our heads, we disown our bodies, or at least perceived it as being kind of separate from that intellectual self. And this mind body separateness, kind of what they call a dualism, certainly was touted by philosophers way back before even Aristotle, but anchored in our culture around the 17th century by a fellow whose name is Rene Descartes. And Rene Descartes said that the mind, the body, and the spirit are separate and distinct entities, and that each needed to be assessed and addressed separately.
Hmm. Certainly today, with integrative and holistic medicine, we've shifted our focus to I think, a better understanding of that connection that our thinking has to our bodies.
I think you're right on it. It's been a long time coming, and the thing is that so often research really, um, you know, can be out there and give us information, but as far as moving that research into practice, out in the public, sometimes there's a significant lag time. So it's nothing new that the body is perceived as kind of separate and distinct. And on a more personal side, certainly, one of the things that happens is that many of us very often disown and dislike our bodies because they don't meet our expectations, our cultural standards of, strength or attractiveness. This kind of plays into the old shoulds. My body should be like this or should be like that. And once again, this wreaks havoc, in our lives because we disengage from our physical experience. We disengage from the body, and really we don't experience the physicalness of ourselves unless we're in some kind of discomfort or pain.
Yeah. Those old shoulds, they just keep coming up, don't they?
They sure do.
Yeah,
They
and
sure
this is
do.
a regular topic of conversation with friends and family, how we are all working so hard to stay healthy and fit, and how often it just seems like it's a never-ending job because our bodies are so uncooperative. Our bodies sometimes seem like the enemy or at least an unruly child.
You're right on it. And it's hard to be kind to someone or something that's consistently uncooperative or ungrateful. And the unfortunate impact of this disconnect is that we miss out on the experience of our body's innate intelligence. There is invaluable information that our bodies can offer us. All of the insights and intuition and wisdom, all of these phenomenon, are really registered with in internal sensations. It's something that very often is referred to as a felt sense. We talk about hunches, our gut feelings. These are not cognitive conceptual modes of thinking. They occur within the weave of the mind, body, and spirit self. And it offers us information that isn't always directly tied to our backstory. So sometimes it's outside of those things that we've anchored into as a reality. And so it offers another way of seeing ourselves, another way of seeing the world. By tuning into this part of ourselves, we can really unite with it, with this intelligence, this innate intelligence, and really bring wholeness and sometimes even peace and freedom to our sense of self and also to everyday life.
And what's in it for us to create the reunion of mind and body?
Well, Anna, by befriending the body and coming home to the body, um, I'm able to deepen my capacity to notice the mind's reactivity. I'm more aware of that train that's running 24/7. And the body, so often, can become an early warning system. As I mentioned before, very often, the body is picking up information before it's even conscious. So this early warning system can alert me to oncoming angst or anxiety or stressors. It can really kind of circumvent unhappiness before it really arises. And we don't stop the train. We can slow it down, but this is the way we can control it. I'm not going to be able to stand on the tracks and put my hand out and say, I'm going to stop you. But if
Right.
we can slow it down, if I can become, more aware of it, I can become more fully integrated into my body. I don't have to always let my thoughts run the show. I can determine that there might be some other things that need to be taken into consideration. So I'm able to identify any kind of negativity that tends to be arising, and I can take action. I can disengage from the way that I'm thinking, because think about it, Anna, and that's interesting. Think about it. But at high levels of reactivity, I can't talk myself out of it. Think about the last time you were really engaged in some high level reactivity. We don't talk our way out. So by having another place, safe place to land, um, when my thinking is whirling like that, allows me to get some distance, allows things to slow down a little bit so that I can really make conscious choices, that I can use my awareness to do that next right thing, you know, that not only benefits me, or puts the lid on things, but allows me to really take into consideration the greater good. So rather than staying in my thoughts and heighten the reactivity, trying to talk myself down, which is usually impossible, we move very deliberately into specific sensations of the body. I move very deliberately into a focal point that is not cognitive. And by doing this, I'm allowing myself to build up kind of a competence and confidence that there's more to living life than from the neck up. And this is like building a muscle. This is why practice is so important, because I need to be able to do it again and again and again to build that competence and confidence.
Yes, this makes so much sense. Now, how do we begin?
Well, I usually start with kind of a 3-point process. It involves very, very simple um, uh, skills on learning how to pick up on my sensations, the sensations in the body. And I usually start with the focused attention, which we covered last episode. And the focused attention is deliberately and intentionally directing our attention to a reference point, really to the sensations of the body in this case. And I call this kind of focused attention is sensing, because I'm looking to drop into the sensations of the body. And then what we're going to be doing next is really sustaining that attention, allowing myself to remain with the reference point of the sensing, different sensations in different parts of the body, and exploring those sensations. And then the third process is to be able at will to shift my attention to whatever the desired target is. So I can focus on sensations in one part of the body or the other. And we practice this within an exercise called the body scan, which is the process of moving our attention and our breath to various parts of the body. And this brings both our awareness to the physical sensations, but it also allows me to be in a place where I can notice that autopilot thinking and how it wants to come in and distract me. So I'm looking to have the body really show me where I am and what's happening in the moment. It can be something as simple as contact to furniture, contact with clothing, where my limbs are. And with each breath, I'm looking to deepen into this, which takes me further into really experiencing the full sensations of my physical sense, my physical senses, I should say. Physical sense, my body, and all the activity within my body. It can be very, very relaxing, but I want to point out that relaxation isn't the aim. The aim is to increase our awareness, to really focus on, with intention, any awareness so that I can move myself at will from thoughts to sensations. And eventually we'll be moving ourselves back into thoughts at will, but looking to take control of what I have control over.
Yeah. Well, this is wonderful. This sounds wonderful. Can we give it a try?
Sure. So the full body scan is going to be on a separate video, but I always like to do kind of a prelude before I start the body scan, and that is just to get people really acquainted with sensations. So a couple lead up exercises that I like to do include the focused attention, the sustained attention, and also the disengaging and re-engaging. So let's just do that, Anna, and let's just find a comfortable position. So if you need to kind of adjust yourself so that you have a nice support to your back, and then bringing our attention to the breath and the sensations, as we did last time with the focused attention, to the breath entering and leaving the nose. Sensations around the nostrils, sensations around that area from the nose to the upper lip. Just allowing ourselves to be here, breath by breath. Notice that it might be that the autopilot thinking wants to come in, or the mind wants to wander. That's absolutely normal. It's what minds do. And we just acknowledge that and gently bring ourselves back to the breath, entering and leaving the nose. And this is the focused attention, and it leads us right into the sustained attention, where we're continuing to track the breath in and out of the nose, and yet we're expanding our attention. We're going to take in other sensations that involve the breath. So noticing in the trunk of the body right now, noticing how the chest and the abdomen move with the in-breath and with the out-breath. So we're focusing on the breath entering and leaving the nose. And also the response of the body, the movement of the chest and the abdomen with each in-breath and out-breath. And then the third process, the disengaging and the re-engaging purposefully, really follows easily as we breathe. We're focused on our attention, the breath, leaving and entering the nose, the movement of our chest and abdomen. And on the next breath, we're going to move our attention to the bottom of the feet. And our immediate response to this is usually to think about the feet. Usually there's some visual image of the feet or some commentary and judgment about the feet. This is thinking. So just notice this thought process. And on the next breath, just allow yourself as best you can to feel the bottoms of the feet. Just be open to sensations, the bottom of the feet, maybe in contact to the floor, the solidness of the floor. You might be able to feel socks or shoes against your feet. And for just a moment, arch your feet. Wiggle your toes for a moment. Notice the sensations. And allow your feet to just be still again. And notice the residual sensations, having just moved your feet a little bit. And now come back to the sensations of the breath moving in and out of the nose. Your body's response to the breath as the chest and the abdomen respond to the breath. And every time you notice that your thoughts have wandered, or that some commentary or judgment has hijacked your experience with your body, just acknowledge this, and as best you can, just bring your attention back to your breath and sensations of the breath and the response of the body to the breath. We're engaging, disengaging, re-engaging. And on your next breath, notice how the furniture that you're sitting on or the floor or bed that you're lying on is holding you. Feel the points of contact, the sensations of contact. Just noticing this, sensations of contact. And now move your attention to sensations of clothing against your skin, or maybe where one limb is resting on another limb. Notice the palms of your hands. And remember, we're not thinking about these locations. We're really allowing for sensations to arise in our experience. And if no sensations arise, that's okay. Just stay with your breath. Stay with the sensations of the breath moving in and out of your nose, across your upper lip, and the movement of your chest and abdomen in response to the in-breath and the out-breath. And after a few moments, we just want to blink our eyes open, come back together. Here you are.
Here I am. Wow, I needed that this morning.
Good.
I love sensing, yet even after all the times that I've practiced it, I'm still bombarded by my thoughts.
Well, Anna, that's normal. I mean, we don't stop the train that runs 24/7. We're merely learning to step off the train and away from the tracks. This can slow down the train, and it can also increase our potential to heighten our awareness, which is really a release from the autopilot thinking, not continuously, but sometimes even for short periods of time. And in doing this, I'm able to appreciate more and more that I'm not my thoughts, and my thoughts aren't facts. They're merely mental events. And all of this is done by learning how to cultivate this observer position in my consciousness. So it's really important to practice these as you do. And it's not enough to just know about it. It's really through the practice that we're able to use them wisely, access them when they will benefit us, times when we need them most.
Yeah, so focused attention and sustained attention allow us to disengage and re-engage from our experiences. And these are also building blocks for our awareness. Dr. Jane, next time we meet, can we discuss some additional practices that allow us to engage and disengage from our thoughts?
Oh, definitely, Anna. Now we have a place to land when we notice that we're lost in the thought process, and this is such an important foundational piece, because I can land in my body, I can land in my sensing, I can really reconnect with my body, its innate intelligence via all the sensations. So now I want to get a closer look and really begin to understand my thought patterns. But I can't do it while I'm in my thinking. I really have to be in a place where I can observe what's happening. Because once I'm in my thinking, I'm compelled to be in my thinking. And it's hard to really have the perception of what's happening or what's playing into it. So by having this direct experience in my body, I have a neutral place to stand. I can observe my thoughts as they arise. And through this, I can eventually learn what's going on, why it's going on, and I can also take appropriate action when action is called for, doing that next right thing, you know, doing what serves the best and greater good, making a conscious choice. This all becomes not just possible, but probable, that I can actually rewire my brain as I'm learning how to do these skills. And they become part of a practice that really become a lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, I love all these possibilities. And my favorite is definitely rewiring my brain.
Me too, Anna. Me too.
Well, looking forward to our next conversation for the good. See you soon, Dr. Jane.
Thank you, Anna.